their show went off at once and it was just like giant.
Yes.
And like it was like a huge
Long
amount of money, and they just had to cancel it. In San Diego, in July.
Did everyone get to see it at least?
Yeah, that one big one.
Sounds like it'd be fun though.
Can we turn it off?
Okay.
Huh?
Here's all the answers.
Ready?
Never mind.
You shut the door. Look at Tina. Okay. Make sure the volume is good.
So where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Most interviewers are just not trying to throw you a curve when they ask you those questions that don't seem to be related. They just want to know if you are confident, if you're capable, and if there's a good chemistry. Here we're trying to help you with some interviewing techniques. We've got some of the most common techniques or questions that will help you in an interview. You should practice answering these questions, and it will be obvious that you are well prepared for the interview. The first question may be, tell me about yourself. Well, one of the best ways to tell the interviewer about yourself is to talk about things that motivate you and things that not motivate you. But make sure you focus more on the things that are motivating. And also it can list things, like I said, that maybe demotivate you. And that's very important to know. And make sure you get that to them in a professional way so that you're not whining or complaining. Tell me about your last job. If they ask you about your last job, make sure you focus on your accomplishments that you had at that job and that are relevant to the job that you're focusing on or seeking. Talk about your leadership skills, your teamwork skills, and how you demonstrated those things in that job. But focus on the positive and how you can bring that to the new company. What are your qualifications? That is a common question asked in many interviews. Or tell me about your qualifications. Many interviewers kind of hear the same thing over and over again. I'm a team player. I'm a hard worker. I have a lot of enthusiasm. Those are kind of meaningless to the interviewer. What you want to do is make sure you put your qualifications into context from your last job or from your previous school experience. Rather than saying I'm a team player, say in my last job, here's an example of when I really practiced being a good team player and how I got the team to work together effectively. Where would you like to be in 5 years? Well, this is another question that's my least favorite question because some people think, oh, I want to be aggressive and say, I want to be in your chair in 5 years, but that doesn't really tell me anything. I would rather say, people say, you know, I don't have a crystal ball, but what I do know that in 5 years, I want to be at a company that will help me get my accomplishment and challenges me, and I feel rewarded. What is your ideal position? Another common interview question is, tell me about your ideal position. Truthfully, this is not a bad question because it gives you an indication to be creative and it talks about your present job and your future. So think about this before going into the interview. Identify what your ideal job would look like and talk about it with passion and energy. And use that as an opportunity to really express your energy and your commitment to wanting to work for that organization and to grow into that position. Tell me about a problem you had to solve. What did you do? I use the word STARS, S and T. What is the situation and the task? What was the problem that you had to encounter? So you want to make sure you set that up. Then the A is the action. What did you do? And the R is pretty straightforward. What were the results of your actions?